I've never noticed the tattoo on your hand.
This one.
For all the hours that we've hung out and like conversed, I don't know that I've ever like noticed it, but it's pretty cool. I like it.
Thanks, man.
I was just looking at it while you were like on your iPad.
Oh yeah. Yeah, thanks. I'm always curious if people notice this one. It's the one that's most visible, but it's also the one that like you don't see if you're not really paying attention. It means bond in Japanese. So give me your hand like you're going to shake my hand.
That's cool.
So you can see it like a bond. Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like the placement of it.
Yeah, it's good. It's on that little meaty part between your pointer finger and your thumb. And yeah, it's like the only hand tattoo I got. And I was okay with it being like pretty small.
Yeah.
I want more hand tattoos, but I always said to myself that when I got a job or when I left a job that didn't require me to like not have tattoos, then I would get my hands done. I don't know if this counts as a job, but we're close.
I was going to say, let's hope this podcast thing works out, you know?
Yeah. I mean, if this thing works out, then I'm getting my hand tattooed.
Yeah.
That's a deal.
We just crossed like 15 or 16,000 followers,
Yeah,
I think.
I think we're a little over 16,000 right now.
Which is wild to think about.
It is, man. I mean, thanks to everybody who's listening to watching for the support in like a relatively short period of time. You know, we were kind of joking when we started this thing. It was like, yeah, man, why don't we do like a little podcast and make it about Richmond? And we got a little studio space. And if we didn't find the space, we wouldn't have started the show. And then we just kind of stumbled into a little groove that you all seem to like. And yeah, we're into it. It's cool.
I've really enjoyed it. We just had this conversation with the Richmond experience.
Yeah.
So that'll be coming out soon. That was like a really enjoyable conversation. It was also a cool glimpse into like local media.
Yeah.
And that's the space we're in now.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if you thought that this was what you'd be doing at the end of 2025, but essentially we're podcasters, but we're also like a news outlet because we talk about stuff that's like current events and things that have recently happened or are about to happen, which is kind of cool. Like scratches for me, like scratches that like journalism itch that I have like further down the line in the list, the massive list of stuff that I'm into is like covering events and all that. Like, it's kind of cool that we get to pick and choose these bits and pieces from what's going on in our city and just kind of package it up and talk about it.
Yeah. I think I like a lot of the things that come from podcasting, but in a weird way, seeing myself podcasting at the end of this year and how much time we're devoting to it isn't exactly what I would have guessed at, in January.
Wasn't on the bingo card.
Yeah. But I can say I enjoy it for a number of reasons. And I think it's because the conversation, right? Like being able to converse in an effective way is a great skill to have. So you learn a lot about yourself, learn a lot about your co-host and your guests and the people that you have on. And it forces you to know what's going on, which I also really enjoy. And I've always loved the media and the content aspect of it. I've always wanted to have a studio of some sort. And I know that you and I both have a love for cameras and content and all the technology and the gear. And so in some ways, the podcasting is sort of the obvious thing.
Right.
But I don't know that it was ever like an obvious thought that I really had. I've been on podcasts as a guest, but never really imagined myself in a role quite like this one. But I'm pleasantly surprised. I've really liked it. And yeah, it feels like we're just getting started, but it's been, and I mean, I guess we are just kind of getting started. You know, it took a while to get here, but it's been a cool journey so far. And I can see how it opens up a lot of just really cool avenues for not just us, but like anybody involved and that we cross paths with. It's been cool.
Yeah, man. It's been really cool. And I definitely didn't see myself like running a podcast, being the host of a podcast. But over the last two years and change, before we kind of went full time with Vera House, I was producing a podcast. And I always had an interest in cameras and production and the gear and music and technology and all of the combinations of things that you can do with all of that stuff. And, having the opportunity to do it previous to this was like, this is fun, but I was doing it as a job. But I didn't make the connection. Like, I didn't think while I was doing that I should start my own. It's one of those, like, I guess you would call it something like the imposter syndrome when, you may be very qualified to do something. You might even be the best version of yourself at this point to be able to do it. But when presented with an opportunity, or when someone suggested, or even when you started yourself, even sometimes reluctantly, you're like, man, I'm not a podcaster. What am I doing here? This is silly. It's like, well, you're actually the best podcaster, or like you're the best person for this thing. It's you who doesn't think it. Who doesn't think that you're good enough to do it. Yeah,
it's very true. And, there's this phrase of like, build the ship and they will come, Now, if you're a terrible shipbuilder, maybe they don't ever show up. Yeah. But I think it proves your point, which is having the experience coming into it. You and I make a good partnership, right? Like, I'm marketing heavy, you're production heavy. And then we share a lot of skills that fall in between those two things.
Yeah.
And it's been cool, man. It's been a lot of fun. I think like the future of Vera House is bright.
Yeah. It's super bright, super stoked for it. This was like an outlet for both of us. Like, I think when we talked about, like you mentioned, the conversations that we have, that was like the big kind of light bulb moment. We're like, why don't we could definitely we talk about so much stuff. Just genuine back and forth, good convo, good banter. We both like humor and technology and conspiracy theories and facts and all these kind of cross-pollinating things. And then you throw in the let's broadcast it kind of avenue. It's like, well, yeah, of course, this is what we would be doing. From the outside perspective, you would assume that we had already been doing this, or that we were. What I hear a lot from people that listen to and watch the show is that we are best friends, or that we seem like we've been best friends for a long time. And, it's a funny thing for me to hear. People are like, is that, you guys are like, you've been best friends for a while? I'm like, no. Well, yes and no.
Right.
It's like, yeah, we've known each other for some years, but we didn't really start hanging out until the last almost 3 years at this point. But that's just another indicator, like, this is where we should be using, our combination of skills and talents and our interests.
And it's cool because we're basically getting to know each other through this journey.
Yeah.
Like, one of the things I want to do that I'm excited about is we do episodes where, an episode where I sit down and interview you and like learn all about your backstory and history leading up to this.
Yeah.
And then vice versa.
Yeah.
Like, that'd be fun.
Yeah, man.
So we'll have to plan that and do that. Maybe that'll be like our New Year's thing that we do in January.
Right. I like that. We can dismantle the New Year's resolution and start a different trend or a different beginning of the year tradition, because I think you and I both probably align on a lot of things in our modern society that could do with an update. So maybe we'll use New Year's as an episode where we interview each other and find out if you could change people's perception, or rather, if you can implement a New Year's resolution or a New Year's tradition that's better than a resolution, what would it be?
Yeah, I think it's a good idea. Back to the podcasting thing. I love storytelling. I think you like storytelling. We both have like our own perspectives on Richmond and Virginia as a whole. We've lived here a long time. We both enjoy it, have some shared experiences, but also different experiences. And it's a fun thing to talk about, right? And it feels like we're helping, and I'm not saying this as a statement of like, oh, we're helping Richmond evolve, but I think personally, like in our personal lives, this helps us have a better experience in the city that we live in, because we're talking about current events, learning about things in our city. We're making connections and networking with people that maybe we weren't before, whether it's businesses, brands. You mentioned journalism. and just getting all types of different perspectives and meeting people that we wouldn't have if we weren't doing this.
That's very true. And it's something you definitely can't foresee. You can't really plan for that to be the case. I mean, maybe you could, like if you knew about podcasting as an industry, you knew that this is kind of where it leads or what have you, but I definitely didn't expect to like meet and communicate and talk to and investigate the things and the people that we're now like looking into. And especially on the side of things where we're involved in communities and in organizations with people that, because of podcasting, now we're in that room or we're in those rooms or we're in this organization or we're at this event or we're going to these places. You know, it goes beyond being a tourist in your own city. It's being like immersed in multiple layers of your city's community that you probably didn't even know were there.
So we're not journalists or like newscasters.
Definitely not.
But did you see this ridiculous thing that happened in Virginia where there's these 9 burglars that all jump out of a Hyundai Sonata?
No, I didn't like get investigated with it, but I saw the Instagram post. It looks like, I mean, a lot of things look like AI, but this looks real.
Yes, bro, this is definitely real. They wrote about it in the New York Post. 2 guys hop out of the trunk, 5 guys hop out of the back seat, and 2 guys hop out of the front. 9 people in total jumping out of a Hyundai Sonata to commit a burglary. And my main thought is like, dude, if you're burglars, why didn't you just steal another car?
Also, come on, man. Look at the camera angle. They're parked in the first spot to clearly see everyone's like face and their clothes and the license plate on the car. The gas cap is even popped because like they probably just got back from the gas station. This is so, it's so dumb.
It definitely is. And is one of them carrying like a dog or like, what is this?
What is that?
Like, also, why the skinny jeans? I feel like that is not an effective choice of attire.
Well, I mean, they all look really young. Yeah, that's ridiculous. Like, I love that we like come across these stories every now and then because like this is just hilarious to me. Like these guys got out of the car fully expecting to like commit a crime. But look, they're just chilling. They're not even like, they're not in a rush. They're parked right in front of the camera. You can't see where they're at, but like there's zero thought that went into this outside of how many dudes can we fit in this Hyundai.
9 thieves caught in absurd footage piling out of one car. 9 masked thieves were caught in absurd footage pulling out of a single sedan with 2 clumsily emerging from the trunk before robbing a building in Virginia. In the surveillance footage, fit for a slapstick comedy, the cramped crooks are seen pulling into a parking lot in Warrenton before all 9 of them climb out of the tiny Hyundai Sonata. The flock of bandits then went on to rob a nearby commercial building, according to the Fauquier County Sheriff's Office, which is seeking to help identify the suspects.
The Flock of Bandits is the name of my new band.
That is a great name of the band. Or we'll have to start a 3rd or 4th podcast. And they have clear pictures of all of them.
Every single one of them. Like, come on, guys. And just the fact that they're parked license plate first, backed in. I'm guessing they think they thought they could like drive away easily. This is just too funny to me.
Yeah. Okay. So he's not carrying a dog. He has a frontwards facing backpack. So he's wearing a backpack.
Okay.
But it's like a front pack.
Yeah. They just like get out of the car and like, hey, you know, I'm gonna stretch my legs real quick. And then you guys ready to go and rob this store? Hang on. I got to take a phone call. All right, cool. You guys ready now? Like they're just so nonchalant about it.
Yeah. And it's hard to even fathom like what my thoughts on this are. It says, it's unclear what the thieves even stole or why they needed to roll so deep. It is also unclear where they were able to fit any of their loot.
Right. Yeah. What did it say? Or does that article say what they stole?
No.
Oh.
It doesn't even really identify like where, you know, what the building is exactly.
Yeah. Flock of thieves.
Yeah,
Flock of bandits.
Flock of bandits
Flock
went
of
on to
bandits.
rob a nearby commercial building, whatever that means. You can almost see in the image. It looks like a convenience store, to be honest, because there's an ice machine out front.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why would you rob a convenience store? Like,
Well,
I mean, maybe they're looking for cash or
come
something.
on, like that's like the age-old question is like, why would you rob a convenience store? But that's what gets robbed the most, I think, is like convenience stores because it's right there.
It's convenient.
It's convenient.
Yeah. I mean, I guess when you think of burglars, you just think of like the typical like jewelry store or like a pawn shop or something, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hilarious, but it's also sad. It's like, yeah, these are clearly a bunch of young guys. But how do you not have the foresight to think in 2025, they backed in with their license plate facing the camera. They get out. One of them looks directly at the camera. So they clearly probably knew they were being surveilled.
Yeah. But just didn't think anything of it. It's funny, but yeah, I guess you're right. It is sad that, you know, that's something that people that are that young, guys, kids that are still rolling out trying to, and you don't really know. So like, I can't really pick a side. It's like, on the one hand, you could assume that they're down in their luck, except for the one guy who has a car. All 9 of them obviously didn't. And they thought they could get a quick buck by robbing whatever store they robbed. But on the other hand, it could just be some delinquent, like young kids, young guys with nothing better to do on a Tuesday night. And they thought it was a good idea to take their buddy's car and go roll up and see if they can rob this place. Like, obviously, it doesn't look like they had a lot of urgency. Because I would assume somebody who's in a tough spot and needs to get some cash and needs to do whatever, handle their business. They're in and out, quick, dirty dash. These dudes just get out of the car, scratching their balls, looking at the camera, not thinking twice about like making any sort of hasty exit. And it doesn't even say what they got away with.
Yeah, clearly was not thought through very well.
No.
But at least they were being eco-friendly by carpooling, you know?
Yeah, they're thinking about the environment.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dude, well, this is no segue, but you don't have a pet, so you don't have this problem. But do you know anybody who like has a dog, like walks their dog and has to like...
Of course.
Do they talk about having to like pick up the dog's poop or clean up after the dog or anything like that?
Yes.
Okay.
I have people who even asked me if I would be the one to clean up their dog's poop.
No.
And the answer to that was no.
No one else should clean up your dog's poop. And that is the point of this Reddit post that had me in tears. It's the RVA Reddit, found a little masterpiece on my walk today. Someone saw a bag of poop on the sidewalk that someone else left instead of taking the poop with them like you're supposed to do, and left a sign, which they printed, under the poop bag. The sign says, "This is the shit you left in a recycling." I can only hope you are colorblind or blind, but probably you are self-centered fuckwit. I'm happy to discuss this. Come to my front door and I will be happy to demonstrate what to do with this shit. You don't deserve a dog. I didn't know you were a complete fucking breaking the law and social norms. Be better, do better. Just, well, for one, the way they're wording all of this shit is so funny.
Right.
But like just the extra effort to go out and like print off this little piece of paper and put it out, pick up the bag, put it under the bag and like leave it out and then post it on Reddit.
Yeah. You know, and the bummer is the culprit will likely never see any of this.
Never see
this. It's just somebody, walking their dog. They just toss a bag in a can. As a bit of a, you said it the other day, I'm not a self-described male Karen, but I can understand the alleged Karen.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because if that was my trash can, I'd also be annoyed. for sure.
Yeah, I get it. But like taking it out of your trash can, printing a sign, full caps lock on most of the last sentence. Like the last sentence, I didn't know you were a complete fucker breaking the law and social norms. Be better, do better. That's Karen energy.
It is.
It's definitely Karen energy.
Yeah. I'm a bit more of like dry humor type of guy, you know? So I'd be like no caps. It would probably be a little bit more formal.
Right.
But I wouldn't put it past myself. I could definitely see myself printing a nice little note.
The note is what really gets me because no one does that nowadays. You have to have a printer. You have to know how to type. I mean, that's pretty much it, but no one's really doing that these days.
I have a printer. I also have a label maker, and I do know how to type. And I would probably write something more like, "Attention, dear sir or madam. I'd like to inform you that you are a large inconvenience to all of the people around you in your life. And your actions today have disrupted the community, have inconvenienced everyone that you know and that knows you, and you are being shamed for your actions. And we're sharing this with the world."
So formal.
Something like that.
So formal, so polite.
And then something, probably end it with like a cheers or like a best regards.
Yeah. I mean, the aggression shifts a little bit. And I feel like maybe this is something you would add. It's like, I'm happy to discuss this. Come to my front door. I would be happy to demonstrate what to do with this shit. Which is so funny. And like, if you see the picture, they like leave a space for the poop. Yeah, just the fact that they left a space for the poop in between paragraphs in this letter is thoughtful, but it's just so funny that they wanted to make this point so bad that they like printed this out with space for the poop. It just tickles me. It's just so fucking funny.
Yeah, you're right about what you said, though. I would definitely be the person to say, like, we can meet directly.
Yeah. My address is such and such and such. Knock on my door and I'll show you exactly what you can do with this poop.
Yeah. I'll walk you through it.
Right. It's so good.
It is. Yeah. I do feel some type of way about trash cans, but it's the OCD in me.
What do you mean about trash cans?
So like my trash cans are so like neatly organized. I have a little platform for them and they have a place where they go.
Yeah.
And like I have a little marker on them so I know which ones are mine. Now, trash is trash, right? I don't get too crazy with it. But if it was my trash can, I wouldn't really care. It is annoying if someone were to throw that in your recycling bin.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if they're throwing, because that's where dog poop goes, is in the trash.
Right.
So I'm guessing this woman or person went to like look in their recycling bin and saw the poop, but wouldn't think twice if they saw, a bag of poop in the trash can because that's where it goes.
Yeah.
At least that's where, I mean, I don't have a dog, so I'm not in the habit of going around picking up poop. I see the bins, I see the places that have the dispensers for the bags, but I guess you just throw it away. I don't know. What's the rule? What's the protocol there?
Well, I think, the bummer is that as soon as that happens to your trash can, you have city workers, like some of the hardest working people that come and pick up your trash. And then that reflects on you because the trash man comes by and picks it up and they're like, "Oh, you're like, what an asshole,"
Yeah.
And it's like,
yeah, because is the trash man judging you for what kind of trash you got?
Well, I don't even know if it's like a judgment thing, but it's like if it's the recycling truck and they're coming by, like I know that my trash people, when they come by, if it's recycling, they're not like even dumping the whole can. Because all my recycling goes in a bag. So it's in a bag and then they take it, they just reach in and grab the bag and toss it, Yeah. So a couple things happens. Either the recycling person is dumping the recycling and then you got, bags of dog turds in the bottom of it, or the opposite happens is they just reach in and grab the actual recycling bin. And then you as the homeowner or the property renter or whatever, now you just have a recycling can with bags of dog poop in the bottom of it.
Yeah.
So then it's your responsibility to deal with it. And it's like, this isn't my responsibility. Like, this is ridiculous. And it happens in the popular alleyways, like even right here next to the building.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could see that being an issue. I live in an apartment complex and I don't have I don't have an issue or have to deal with the trash or the recycling. We have a trash compactor at the end of our parking area, and we have a separate recycling bin. And at the end of every week, dump truck comes up, scoops up the recycling, scoops up the trash. So, but I do remember living in the fan, having a separate recycling bin and a separate trash can. And it was always like, you know, you have neighbors that have their bins and whatnot too. And it was always like, you know, if you leave out the back, you see in the trash can, it might be overflowing with trash, but the trash guy hasn't come yet. But the recycling bin is not so full. So you throw your trash in the recycling bin because you don't want to leave it on the ground, because when it rains, the bag falls apart and then there's just a trash mess in your alley. So it's a tricky thing to navigate. However, this is cut and dry. Don't leave your dog turds on the street. If you can't find a bin, take it with you.
Yeah. I was riding my bike up the Nickel Bridge into Westover Hills and saw someone drive by in a van, and they just take like a bag of, you know, fast food or trash or whatever, and they just throw it out the window. And it's like, it's infuriating.
Yeah.
So I think people that do this type of stuff, that's
just what they do.
Yeah, it's an unwinnable battle. Like, for whatever their mindset is to make them think that that's okay, you know, unfortunately, no Reddit post, no Facebook comment is going to change that type of behavior.
No, the theory here is that public shaming is the best way to get someone to do or not do something. This isn't public shaming. This is just a funny post.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, no one is going to be ashamed that they left their dog turd on the street in front of whoever's house this is. It's a nameless post with a faceless bag of dog shit. And then that's it.
Yeah.
Like, no justice is being served.
Yeah. You know, and I mean, this is the thing, right? We're in an urban area with a bunch of residents, and like everybody wants a dog, you know, and it's like, yeah, you just walk on the sidewalk, and then it just, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to think about it, man. It's...
I just thought it was funny.
It's hilarious. I mean, it is. It's hilarious. I love the sign and the idea. And I think, in an alternate universe where I had neighbors throwing poop in my trash cans, I wouldn't be so different from this person, probably.
You know, you reminded me of something when you mentioned seeing somebody throw like a bag of fast food out the window.
Yeah.
It's infuriating to me too. I do my best not to litter. If I can, I'll take the trash with me. You know, some years back, I went to Japan. I was there for about a week or so. And it's an incredible place. The cities are beautiful. Everything is clean. Everyone's polite. And it made me think about like, okay, well, why is everything clean? How is everything so tidy all the time? And yeah, it's like kind of their infrastructure that does a lot of the heavy lifting, you know, good trash cleanup, good public awareness of like keeping spaces clean. But it's like deeper than that. It's ingrained in the culture to take your trash with you. And I didn't really get that. And I'm with a buddy of mine, and we go to the corner store. We just, you know, grab some little to-go things, and we have like a can and a bag and, you know, a bottle of drink or whatever. And there's not a lot of public trash cans just because, you know, the trash overflows and it looks unsightly. So they just don't have a lot of that stuff around. So I'm like, what do I do with this trash? Knowing that I can't put it on the street. It's like, well, you just take it with you. What do you mean take it with you? He's like, put it in your bag, put it in your pocket, and you will throw it in the bin when you get home. And that is what everyone does there. It's frowned upon, but not only is it frowned upon, it's illegal to litter, but it is extremely frowned upon to litter, to dispose of your garbage anywhere except a receptacle. If there isn't one, you take it home. And I was like, that makes so much sense to me.
Yeah.
But trying to get someone or some people in America, for instance, to adopt that mentality, it would never happen.
Well, and it's because, you know, like Japan is a culture, right? It's a culture and it's a community. And as much as we would like to think that like America has culture, you know, I think at the moment, not so much. And I think it's something to be said about the fact that a huge amount of people don't feel like it's their responsibility to look out for their neighbor or their community or try to foster a culture or a community. It's, people feel divided, and I don't know. It's a weird thing where we don't see ourselves in the people around us, and we think like, oh, not my job, not my responsibility. And people they don't go out of their way to pick up someone else's trash or what. And, it's not everybody. Plenty of people do. And I do it too, but it's frustrating because it shouldn't be on the decision of a few good people to try to make up for the actions of bad people. Right. It's like you learn this stuff in kindergarten, man. And I know I've never been to Japan. My brother's been. I know that it's beautiful. I have friends that have gone. They all say the same thing. They're just stunned with the beauty of the city, the cleanliness, the structure of it all, how everything functions. And I would imagine that there's a sense of culture and identity there for sure, like stronger than many places that people have visited, I'd love to make it there sometime.
Yeah, man, that was the biggest lasting impact. It's like, okay, so everybody is on the same page about most of these things. It's like ingrained in the culture for generations. This is what you do as someone who lives in this society. It's like, that was like the most like mind altering kind of takeaway from it. The second one was like, okay, I've heard the statistics about it being safe and clean and cool and futuristic. All that's true, but you don't really get it until one, you're there, and two, you have like a direct one-to-one experience. Me and some friends were at this arcade, and this arcade's like 5 stories. It's massive. My friend leaves her bag, her purse, in one of the games that you can like get in and close the door, and she gets out and walks away. We go to another floor. She forgets her bag and her wallet, her ID, her phone, everything is in there. And we're all like, oh crap, we got to go and get it. Cause like we're in the middle of Japan. We're not in the city that we were staying in. We were like hours away from where we were staying. So, could very quickly become a not so cool situation. We're looking for the game. We found the game. The bag's gone. And our immediate thought is someone stole the bag. Because it had only been like maybe 10 minutes. Because that's what you think when you leave your stuff somewhere and it goes missing and you go back to where it was and it's gone. So we're like freaking out. She's freaking out. We can't find the bag. There's like check-in counters on each floor. We go to the check-in counter and said, our friend left her bag. It's in one of the games. Maybe someone turned it in. Is there a lost and found? And they said, 1 second. Get on the horn. They get on the phone, call the other floors. They get back to us and said, someone is bringing your bag. Stay right here. And we're like, what? They're like, yeah, they found your bag. They picked it up and brought it to the lost and found. They're bringing it to this counter now. And within like a couple of minutes, someone comes with the bag. Everything is there. Nothing's missing. Nothing was altered. And then it wasn't until later that we found out that that's just what you do there. No one thinks about stealing random personal items. You drop your wallet, someone picks it up and takes it to like a police little booth. They have these little police booths. They take it to the police booth and then they find you and give it back to you. That's it.
It's the way it should be.
Yeah.
It's
just incredible. I'm like, all right. So when are we moving to Japan?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they got some sweet cars there.
Yeah, they do.
Have you tried Lewis Hamilton's tequila, the Formula One tequila?
Smooth segue.
Right?
I haven't, but I'm seeing the bottle here. I'm a big tequila guy. Well, former big tequila guy.
Yeah.
And I've heard about this, but I haven't yet tried it. Can we crack this open and get a little sample going?
We shall. Yeah. So for anyone who doesn't know, I am a huge fan of Formula One, and Lewis Hamilton drives for Ferrari, and this is his brand. So
I like this bottle.
I believe, the branding is great. It's a non-alcoholic tequila, and I brought some nice ice cubes for us.
Oh yeah, let's get it.
And spoiler alert, I have tried it. It's amazing. And I wanted to make sure, because I know you're a tequila guy, right? Former tequila guy.
Yeah.
And I was quite impressed with this. So I'm curious to get your thoughts and reaction. Get you a cube.
Give
there,
me a
dude.
cube here. Yeah, I was I was very big, and I mean, I'm still really fascinated by spirits and how they're made and how they like achieve the certain tastes and the notes. But tequila was my like spirit of choice. And I did a lot of research on it. It was the one I went to for many reasons. Thank you there. Appreciate it. One of the reasons I liked tequila was the naturally occurring sugar from the agave plant. It was more of a stimulant. It gave you a nice kind of buzz, made you feel fun and free, which is why if you've ever heard anyone say tequila makes you take your clothes off, it 100% does. Backed by science.
Like, smell that, man.
Oh, wow.
Is that not crazy?
Whoa, that smells exactly like a good tequila.
Isn't that nuts? Well, cheers.
Cheers. Whoa.
Interesting, right?
Whoa.
So,
whoa. Okay.
Yeah.
What's happening here?
Pretty awesome. So it's light, but it has a tequila taste.
Yeah.
And I'm a big fan of it. So this is from Point 5. So Point 5 is right here in our neighborhood in Carytown. They are essentially a non-alcoholic ABC store. And you can get 10% off your purchase. Obviously, the holidays are coming up.
Yeah.
So not only Thanksgiving, but also Christmas. And it's easy to overlook that a lot of people, are experimenting with sober curiosity, alternating between alcoholic and non-alcoholic drinks.
Yeah.
And trying not to overindulge. And stuff like this is a really great alternative. So I have a bottle of one of the other flavors at my house. There's 3 different ones that I know of, and they sort of mimic the Blanco, Reposado, and Añejo from real tequilas. And I was really impressed with it. And I honestly really enjoy it. I was always a gin guy. Gin was my go-to. And I like all this stuff, man. I like beer. I like red wine. I like gin. I like bourbon. I like scotch. I like all of it. I like tequila.
Yeah.
Tequila's a good one, but I was really impressed with that. And Point 5 has all types of different beverages. So they have everything from THC, CBD, kava, wine. They have gluten-free and dairy-free options. They have non-alcoholic beers, plenty of different non-alcoholic spirit options. And it's a great thing to have if you're somebody who's doing something for the holidays, whether you're like entertaining, having people at your house and you're entertaining, or you're going somewhere.
Yeah.
Anytime I go somewhere, I'll bring that little cooler that I just pulled those ice cubes out of and just throw a couple NA beers in it, because a lot of the times you don't anticipate that anyone will have an option for you.
Right.
And it's nice to have something like this. If we didn't mention that this was non-alcoholic, you would have no idea. I mean,
honestly,
it looks
I wouldn't.
like tequila.
It smells like tequila. If you poured this in a glass over ice like you did and served it and didn't mention that it didn't have alcohol in it, I wouldn't know.
Yeah. Which is rare to say for a lot of non-alcoholic options. And I was really impressed with this. Not just because I love Formula One. I'm a Lewis Hamilton fan.
Yeah.
I like all the drivers and all the teams. I know that's such a boring thing to say.
I'm a big Lewis Hamilton fan.
Yeah.
Formula One, but outside of Formula One, I'm a big fan of his philanthropy and his community efforts. And he's just one of the few athletes, kind of top echelon of athletes in his given field, which is F1, who is seemingly completely well-rounded, right?
Yeah.
He's got a good reputation. He gives back to the community. And yeah, he's got the most wins in F1 history. He just joined one of the most legendary teams in the sport. I'm a big fan, personally.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
I mean, anything fast, right? I know you and I both would just love motorsports, right?
Yeah.
Well, in other news, I don't know if we'll be racing around the streets of Shockoe Bottom anytime soon, but did you see that Shockoe Valley, they have this entire development project planned down there around improving all the streets and putting in roundabouts and stuff?
No, I haven't seen that.
So I think we can all agree the quality of the streets downtown are not great, right? Especially in that area around Broad and 18th, where the McDonald's and the Exxon is. It's you're getting on the highway. And even in my truck, man, it's it's not good. There's a lot of potholes and
It's
stuff.
rough.
So they're working on improving Broad Street in particular, like the actual website itself, where it talks about the Shockoe Valley Streets Improvement Project. It says the purpose of the project is to develop a comprehensive set of transportation improvements to the Broad Street area of Shockoe Valley. The project scope uses Vision Zero and Complete Streets principles adopted by the City Council and supported by the mayor to strengthen access to the existing grid for all modes and includes, and then it talks about basically like the improvements. So the project will create multimodal safety improvements for the Shockoe Valley area, including Oliver Hill Way, 18th Street, Venable Street, and Mosby Street. So, of course, places that could use the investment. The project will convert Oliver Hill Way and 18th Street from one-way streets to two-way streets. Upgraded shared use paths and cycle tracks for people who will bike will complete the area network. Streetscaping with new sidewalks for people that can walk and roll will include street trees, decorative lighting, and other enhancements. 4 landscaped roundabouts will calm the intersections of Oliver Hill Way, and Venable Street, 18th Street, Mosby Street, and Venable. And Broad Street will be redesigned to seamlessly connect the existing streetscape from 14th Street to 21st Street. So, yeah, I feel like that's exciting. I feel like that area, Shockoe Bottom and Shockoe Valley is a topic that we often revisit because I think you and I both want to see the best for that area, and it has potential, and it could be a cool, great area. And I think things like lighting, things like foliage and, beautiful plants and walkable routes, bike lanes, like all of that stuff makes a huge improvement to how the whole area feels.
Yeah.
It feels like it's meant to be commutable.
Yeah.
Feels safer.
It makes it, in my experience, it makes it feel more like a place you want to live, like a place that you would enjoy being and like being around. I'm sure people may have different opinions about it, but if you live in and around the Shockoe Valley area, you don't really want to be down there for much. You probably frequent some of the shops, maybe some of the nightlife places, maybe some of the restaurants, but I would wager a guess that you often aren't downtown for much else because there really isn't much else going on down there. But aside from that, your walk or your commute isn't very picturesque. The streets are busted. There's like weeds growing out of the sidewalk. The traffic is a nightmare during rush hour, especially on the weekends at night. So any improvement down there, I think, is a step in the right direction. It'll make it so that when you're there and that's your neighborhood, like that's the place you call home, you can feel better about being there. When you're coming back from wherever you just left, you feel good about driving into your neighborhood. If the streets look nice, if the lights are well lit, if there's people commuting, if there's a nice clean bike lane, that stuff helps. It makes you feel good about your neighborhood.
It does. It makes a huge difference, and I'm grateful to live where I'm at, but that's one of the things that I love the most is the lighting looks really nice. There's great bike lanes. It's very walkable. You can get to the parks, and it's what makes people feel like it's a nice area. And so surely there's plenty of other improvements to make down there, but I think it's a really great start in the right direction. Immediately when you're in an area and the streets are just terrible, it doesn't matter how nice the houses and stuff are or what's going on or what restaurants are nearby. You just feel like you're in a crappy area, because there's no nice towns with like really terrible roads.
No.
And I will say Richmond actually was sort of like that for a long time, right? Like Richmond has always been unique and cool and historic and whatever. But I feel like we had a pretty solid like 10-year stretch where the roads were like pretty bad.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Like most of my previous vehicles have been late 90s, early 2000s beaters with terrible suspension, not really made for off-roading in the mean streets of Richmond, but that's what you kind of had to do.
Yeah.
Like you're dodging potholes, you're cruising up and down Monument Avenue, you're hitting the speed humps. So I've definitely seen the change like across the board in different neighborhoods where the streets have been like ripped up entirely and just repaved with smooth. Bro, you can still feel it if you drive down this road because they paved over it. They didn't redo the entire street. The fire station in Churchill, right before you get to 25th, so 24th and Broad Street, 24th and Broad Street. If you go up Broad past the Patrick Henry, there's a fire station on your left, and then you come up to 25th, and there's the Proper Pie and River Bend is right there. If you take a left on the street next to the stop or next to the fire station, before they repaved it, no lie, the street was like scrunched up like ripples in a pond because the pavement was so worn in by traffic. And normally traffic wears the pavement in a straight line, like the wheels going down a road. This was the opposite. I have no idea how it came to be, but like imagine a piece of paper, you just like smush it up from end to end, and you have it had wrinkles. The street had wrinkles in it, and you would drive down it. It would just like it would vibrate the shit out of your car. So they redid a lot of the streets in that neighborhood. Thank God. The one like the cross street right there at that intersection, and then they redid the street in front of the fire station, but they didn't rip it up. They just paved over it, so you could still see and feel the lumps.
Come on, man. Come on.
It's like, come on, bro. Like this is the 80% problem that we talk about.
Yeah.
You commit to doing something that is going to positively impact hundreds, if not thousands of people in a community, and you give it your 80% effort. You give it 80% effort. You get it 80% of the way there. And it's just like, bro, all you had to do was do what you did on the street over.
Yeah.
Why didn't you do it that way?
It's like, yeah, they forget the details that actually matter.
Right.
You know? And they know how to do it right. Like and this is all over Richmond. If you dig beneath our streets, the cobblestones are still there in many of these places. Like in my neighborhood, there was a huge tree that fell down and it literally like broke the pavement. Like it was crazy. So they removed the tree and it had, it pulled the sidewalk up, and I was on a walk and you could see, the streets from like the early 1900s. I thought it was so cool.
Yeah.
And you could see how deep down they are, but you could also get a good view of how they pave over top of it. And the roads are great. So it's like, they know how to do it. They just choose not to.
They just choose not to. And what really blew my mind is like, out of all of the streets in this neighborhood, the street that Patrick Henry is on, smooth. Broad Street, that section of Broad Street, hasn't been redone in a while, but it's relatively smooth. 25th Street was redone a few years ago, relatively smooth. The street in front of the fire station is the one that you chose not to rip up and just like spackle over it with asphalt. Like what? Who made the decision to do that?
Yeah.
Why did the firefighters get this shit into the deal? Like it's just so silly.
Yeah, you would think. Yeah, exactly. You would think that would
be the one street you want to do the best job on, but they were like, nah, they're good.
That's crazy. Well, I think that's it for today. I know we have the holidays coming up. I think we're excited for the holidays. We're going to do a fun little Thanksgiving episode. So everybody keep an eye out for that. We'll have fun with it. And wishing everybody a happy holiday season. Be sure to check out Point 5. You can get 10% off at Point 5. So you go to verahouse.co/point5 and there's a 10% off voucher. And you can use that voucher when you go in. And I encourage people to think about options for those who don't drink or people who do drink but just want an alternative option. And again, they have stuff there that's not just non-alcoholic. There's plenty of other options as well. So hope everybody enjoys it. Have a great holiday season coming up. We'll still be rocking and rolling here, and keep your eyes out for the next episode.